Congratulations, first of all. You had a lovely concert yesterday.
Thank you. You were there?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
I watched, I listened all songs.
Excellent. It was actually a showcase, more of a showcase than a concert.
Just for your new album, isn't it?
That's right.
Not other songs you didn't sing.
We sang one or two songs from the old albums, just as, you know, to remind people. It's one or two songs, but mostly it was an album showcase, new album.
Okay, dear Sami, how we can explain your music? Is it Islamic popular music, Islamic modern music? How we can call your music?
It's music.
It's just music.
It's music. But I'm not ashamed of my spiritual. Obviously, my music is drawn from my spirituality, which is steeped within the Islamic tradition, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud of it. I'm honored to be able to do something that reflects my own worldview and something that people can relate to, but ultimately something that talks about truth, the sacred. So I would call it spiritique. I call my music spiritique. I don't call it ilahi or nasheed, or some people have done, because I didn't even know what ilahi is. I mean, I come from a musical background. My dad's a composer with musicians.
What kind of music? Classical music?
My father's classically trained, the Azeri, Persian, classically trained musician. He plays multi-instrumentalist. He plays all the most of the Azeri instruments, kamanche, tar, and a lot of other.
You are original Iranian Azeri, isn't it?
My roots, yes. But I don't have an Azeri. I don't have an Azeri passport, unfortunately, and I don't have an Iranian passport, unfortunately, because if I ever get deported from this country, I have nowhere to go. But I don't have any other passport. By nationality, I'm British, but I'm very at peace with my roots. I'm very proud of my roots, my Azeri, Persian roots. I'm not trying to be, because we live in a time where people really don't know who they are. And people are trying to be something they're not, and they see themselves from the point of view of others. So for myself, I'm very at peace with my roots, and I'm alhamdulillah.
So when I listen your songs, there is a bit pain, a bit something's happened in your heart, in your brain. How do you compose your songs? For example, after you are watching news, bad news, or you are reading something, especially Middle East and Muslim area, Muslim geography. How do you compose your songs, especially Islamic songs, and you are giving message to the people?
Yes. This pain that you talk about, I don't know whether it applies to me, but certainly for the saints and sages, the awliya of like Yunus Emre, or for example Maulana, they all had this pain. And pain actually connects us stronger to truth. Those who have no pain oftentimes are neglectful, often, not always, but they don't have really any need to remember higher things, because there's no need, there's no point, since they have everything. But those who are in pain, and the pain that I'm referring to is a spiritual longing. It's a longing for divine, longing for divine presence. I think in my own tiny way, I also have that in an extremely molecular, tiny way for myself. So I'm very interested in traditional art and traditional music. I mean, I love ilahis, traditional ilahis. I'm not a big fan, or I'm not a big admirer, so to speak, of modern music, whether it's modern Islamic, modern pop, modern whatever it is. My humble works, I try to avoid the word modern, because I think that it's contemporary. Contemporary and modern are different. They're two different things.
Do you give to the people as a message, a politic message, or just humanistic message?
Neither. I don't like politics, and I don't like humanism. I don't like humanism because humanism is devoid of the sacred, is void of the sacred and of higher truth, and politics is the same. It's ugly, and I don't like it.
What about music and politic things? Is it how related to each other?
Can be. Some people do it, some people mix it together. It's not something that I'm particularly attracted to myself, because politics is essentially, especially today, it's about power, always has been really money, it's greed, and I'm not really interested in those things. I'm not after power, inshallah. I'm not after fame. I'm not after worldly success. It doesn't interest me. You know, I sometimes get called by ministers, prime ministers, you know, very big people. Alhamdulillah, they call me, I don't call them. I try to avoid it, but sometimes you can't. So I try to keep myself away from those things.
Actually, I watched your live concert yesterday. You are a very peaceful person and you are a respectful person, especially to the other religions.
Yes, we must be.
Yeah, but too many people recently related Islamic terror, Islamic terrorism. But you talk about Islam is not like this.
Yeah.
They can't be Muslim, you said. Yeah.
Well, if the fact that we have to explain things is really quite sad. The fact that I need to say something, it's sad. Mm-hmm. The reality is that the traditions of the world, all the traditions, are gifts from heaven to connect us to ourselves, our true selves. Mm-hmm. And Islam is no exception. It's the youngest religion, but also the final religion, the finality and the beauty. One of the people we don't remember this often enough, that Islam is the only religion that doesn't deny what came before it. Everybody else is just our way, every other religion. The Christians will not accept Muslims, and it's normal, they will not accept, because our religion, Islam, came after. So how can a Christian accept my religion? But Islam accepts every other religion. You know, at an intellectual level, because they're people of the book, and also we know there are 120,000 prophets. So it's very important to remember that. And we are living in a time of unintelligence. We're living in a time of ignorance. We're living in a time of superficiality, modernity, materialism, and the spiritual dimension, Sufism, which is the inner dimension of the Islamic faith. So you do not have one. Like Wahhabism, for example, cannot survive in Turkey. Because it just can't survive. It will be rejected. It will be repelled. Mm-hmm. Because the culture is permeated, even though it has a secular, unfortunately, or tradition. But within the culture, even the most secular Turk, even if he doesn't know, his adab, his manners, his ethics, the way he talks is from that Osmanlı tradition. Yeah. It's coming from that great civilization of tolerance, of love, of intellectual thought, and of course every period has some dark moments, has some difficulties, but by and large the normative tradition of Islam is a tradition of intellection, that's such a word, of not sentimentality, of not just, you know, getting together, hold hands. They're actually very, very intellectual. There's a lot of thought, a lot of philosophy, and it's sad that today we have to even talk about these things. Sad.
Yeah. Last question. Your last album is The Center.
Yes.
What's the center?
What's the center in Turkey? Merkez?
Merkez, yeah.
Yeah. The center is at the heart of all wearers and of all times. It's both within and without. It is the motionless divine center, and all the great traditions are connected to it. We are connected to it. Some are aware, some are not aware, but in the end, the center is the center. And it's truth. And all the different traditions of this world are connecting to that center in order to find our true self, it's who we are. So the center is as much relevant in Buddhism as it is in Islam or in Christianity or in Judaism, because it's at the heart of the esoteric truth. When you unveil all the veils and you take off the crusts, as the great saints and sages of the past had discussed, you get to the center ultimately. We're living in a day and age where, although it's very superficial and there's materialism and there's all these types of things, forgetfulness, neglectfulness, all of that, modernity is a sophisticated worldview. And you can't talk about metaphysics and religion or God without being a little bit more sophisticated. In the 15th century, there'll be no need. There'll be the, let's go to the mosque. You know, God is waiting. You know, let's go and do namaz together. We don't live in that era. We live in an era of questioning, of doubt, atheism, agnosticism, and a very kind of materialistic world. And these types of things that I'm talking in my new album usually would not be discussed by normal people. Let's say 12th century Khorasan or 13th century, you know, it would be the language of the mystics. They would talk about these things. It wasn't for normal average people, because average people would get confused. But now we need to discuss these things now in order to get rid of confusion, because we live in a confused time. And a relativity, everything is relative, and there's no truth, everything is sentimental, and there is no God, we're just animals walking around like sheep, you know, we're just, and of course you have the politics as well, Islamism, all of that stuff, which is another topic for another discussion, for another interview. So really it's an era of confusion and unintelligence, and the media doesn't help either. So I wanted to do something that talks a little bit about the inner dimension of the faith. Back to the light above, what can I do, my love? Child of our golden sun, sorry
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.